For latest astrology videos, subscribe AstroEdify channel and press this bell icon to get notified when a new video goes live.
Hello everybody, welcome to AstroEdify. Today we are going to talk about Rahu in Aquarius and Ketu in Leo. What kind of results we can see if Rahu and Ketu are sitting in these two zodiac signs respectively. So let's start this video. If you want to book a consultation for yourself, you can go on this website. The link is given in the description. So we are going to discuss Rahu in Aquarius and Ketu in Leo today. Now, before moving on, I have already made a detailed video upon what Rahu and Ketu actually represent and signify in our lives. I have described from various perspectives there, from the perspective of astronomy, astrology and philosophy. I have explained in detail that what Rahu and Ketu are. What do they signify and why do they represent the things which they have been said to be in Jyotish, and how do they impact us in our real lives. So I'll request you to watch that video. The link is shown in the card section above, as well as it's mentioned down in the description also. So we are going to discuss Rahu and Ketu today in Aquarius and Leo. We are going to take two cases with two sub cases in each category. So first is, if Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then what kind of results we can see, and within that two cases will be taken. One is, if Rahu is good and is strong, what will be the results? If Rahu is bad and weak, then what will be the results? Then the second category will be, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then how this axis is going to give the results, and that too also will include two categories. One is, if Ketu is strong and well placed, what kind of results? And second, if Ketu is weak and badly placed, what kind of results? So we will start with the first category, first case here. That is, if Rahu is stronger in the chart than Ketu, then Rahu will be controlling this axis, and most of the results will be given by Rahu prominently, where Ketu will help Rahu to give results under the dominion of Rahu. Now, the first sub case which we will take here is that if Rahu is stronger than Ketu, and if Saturn, Moon and Lagna Lord are well placed, then Rahu will become strong, and Rahu will be considered well placed in the chart. It will have support from these planets, and this is a good situation where Rahu receives strength. So we can expect quite good results from Rahu in this particular case. So if Rahu is strong, then this is considered a good sign for Rahu, because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Rahu both. So actually this is the own sign of Rahu, but Rahu needs support from Saturn. If Saturn is not well placed, then Rahu will behave negatively, no doubt. But if it has support from Saturn, then we can say that yeah, Rahu will have strength to give good results as well. So first case is that if Saturn, Moon and Lagna Lord are well placed, then Rahu, which will be in its own sign, can make person logical, practical, analytical, scientific, eccentric or unusual sometimes, but person will have a keen observation, curiosity, deeply interested in hidden and mysterious things or subjects also. It makes person quite clever and gives deep thinking. It also makes person quite secretive, and person tends to have a smart intelligence. Means a person who has learned a lot from practical life, not just through books. So that kind of thing, it makes person somewhat street smart and clever and intelligent. It also gives person good business acumen, but you need to see other combinations as well. It's not always the condition, but if Rahu is well placed in this particular zodiac sign and other combinations are there, like Mercury and Saturn are strong, 7th house is strong, then it can show that person can have good business sense and business acumen as well. Then this condition is also good for giving a research, a detail oriented mindset. A person who is more detail oriented, see behind the things, has innovation, inventive approach, in that kind of thing. It makes person somewhat introvert and reserved on an emotional scale. But if we talk about social connection for particular societal norms or particular self benefits, then Rahu will be fine. But on an emotional scale or on a personal scale, it makes person more introvert and reserved. Also, But it is not always the case. It depends on the chart, because Rahu means social connection as well. So if other planets are fine, it can make person extrovert as well. However, it makes person opportunistic and social. So most of the times, people tend to form connections, form relations, form networks with people whom they can, from whom they can gain something also. It's not, I'm not talking about selfish connection all the time, but more kind of a thing where you think that maybe someday if I'm going to require some help from somebody, I might have some connections of such sort. So that kind of mentality tends to prevail in. Then depending on the combinations in the chart, it makes person driven towards more towards money and material ambitions. So person wants to have, because Rahu is Maya, and 11th sign means Aquarius is the natural zodiac sign of the 11th house, which is the house of gains, income, money, wishes and desires. So Rahu enhances those things. If other combinations are also good, then it makes person quite inclined towards having a lot of material ambitions and desires, means more driven towards having money, wealth, luxuries, power, position, status, reputation, those kind of things. And here it brings that kind of material progress as well. If other combinations are good in the chart and Rahu is placed in the zodiac sign with the support from other planets, it brings material progress also, fulfillment of those desires which have been there in the person. Then it also, see, the thing here is that Rahu tends to bring knowledge here, but mostly it will be on a material side, means a person will be mostly driven by science, logic, rationality, practical, realistic approach, which is a good thing. But mostly towards the subjects which are more material in nature, or scientific in nature, not towards the intuitive subjects which are more related to spiritual side or religious side. That kind of thing is not quite seen in Rahu with this particular alignment, particularly when Rahu is strong. Then here it makes person, also helps the person to use the knowledge to earn money or gain something in life, huh? Because Rahu is what, know something, secrets, hidden things, and or exclusive knowledge. That is what Rahu is. So if Rahu is strong, it gives you that kind of thing, and you earn money or gain other things in life through the knowledge or the learning what you had. Then on the side of emotional scale, it is a weak situation, because Rahu has no emotions, Aquarius has no emotions whatsoever. So if until and unless moon and other planets are not very strong, it makes person somewhat emotionally immature or somewhat emotionless, or I will say somewhat emotionally reserved, highly emotionally reserved. So that kind of thing can be seen, but it brings emotional confusion and emotional misunderstanding or emotional denial as well. Then it can bring a lot of logical blindness. Logical blindness means person is so tended, so keenly driven by logic and rationality all the time, that they neglect the importance of intuition and emotions in the real world. So they can be good at logic, they can be good at factual understanding, but they lack maturity and proper depth in terms of emotional questioned or emotional understanding or intuitive understanding. That kind of thing tends to uh, be a difficulty in this case. Then, as I mentioned, this combination or particular alignment brings good material progress in life, fulfillment of desires, but it takes time, because Aquarius is a slow sign, Rahu is also a slow planet. It gives sudden progress also, but it takes time. A lot of struggle, delay tends to happen, obstructions tends to happen, and when you overcome them, then you get the things what you want. So that's a good situation for progression, material progression in life. Then Rahu does not care too much about morals, ethics, values, or principles. So if Jupiter and ninth house, they are good, and other planets, as I said, Moon and Lagna Lord, they are good, means they are fine. Then only the person will be somewhat moralistic, ethical, somewhat, somewhat following some moral code of conduct and principles and virtues in life. Otherwise, Rahu mostly tends to bring an element where you're not breaking the law. If it is good, you are not going to break the law directly, but you are going to twist the law and you are going to seek out all the loopholes possible for selfish purposes, that kind of thing. But Rahu also has certain characteristics which it can bring in Aquarius. Even though it is strong, then too it can bring these things. First of all, Rahu brings some kind of self-centered approach. Means you tend to think more about your own self first and your own ambitions and your own life first. It brings some kind of self-obsession or what you can say, more driven by self goals and self aims, rather than thinking about the requirements and adjustments and compromises for other people as well. That is not a good trait of Rahu here. Then it enhances the greed, because here it brings material progress, that is fine, but it does not bring satisfaction, because Ketu is in front of Rahu. Ketu never brings that kind of material satisfaction easily. So it brings more desires, continuous desires, which are coming and coming and coming, and they are never ending. So it enhances that kind of greed. Then it brings a ruthless pragmatism, cunningness of some sort, manipulation. Whether you are using it for good purposes, bad purposes, that does not matter. But that kind of trait, that kind of capability is provided by Rahu to the person. Now, how the person is using that depends on the chart, that depends on other planets. But Rahu brings that kind of trait, that kind of capability, that you have that kind of potential within you. So that kind of thing. Then Rahu makes person somewhat, what you can say, diplomatic, smooth talking ability. Person is able to convince other people through their speech. And also it brings continuous chase of material world, because Rahu is what? Maya. So continuous chase of material world. Then it brings element, what you can say, a political, diplomatic, tactful, strategic mindset, that kind of thing. Then another thing here is that Ketu is in front of Rahu in Leo. So some or the other way, Ketu brings some kind of identity crisis or identity confusion initially in the life. Then also Ketu can manifest that no matter how much accomplished or successful you become, some or the other way you are gonna feel that kind of inner emptiness, some or the other way. But if Rahu is so powerful, then what will happen? Even though the person feels it temporarily, momentarily, they will neglect it and ultimately move towards other ambitions, other goals. Then the thing here is that Ketu is in front of Rahu in Leo, and Leo is ego. So it brings, it tries to break the ego at some point in life. Means the things which you identify with, with which you are attached deeply, it tends to create an element of rift or separation from them, to make you realize that the things are temporary, they are not permanent, and the more you are going to cling to them and attach to them, the more you are going to feel empty within yourself. That kind of thing tends to happen by the result of Ketu in Leo in front of Rahu. Then here also it brings what you can say, continuous fear, anxiety, dissatisfaction and attachment from the things what the person has earned in their lives, because Rahu is all these things. So these are good results of Rahu. But remember, Rahu has a negative trait. It's a natural malefic planet, so it will bring those kind of negative features as well, no matter how good it is. But these were the results of positive Rahu. Now we will talk about the negative results of Rahu. If Rahu is bad in Aquarius, what kind of results it can bring. Now all the things which I'm gonna say, take it as a source of information. Do not jump to conclusions. You just have to see all the things in the chart. We don't know where Rahu is placed, in what house it is placed, with which planets it is placed, what is the situation in divisional charts. We don't know any of those things. And Rahu and Ketu don't have their own identity. They depend on other planets to give results. So whatever I'm going to say now, they are extremely negative points. People have them. World faces these issues. But remember, you don't have to jump to conclusions immediately without proper depth analysis of the chart. So just listen now. What will be the results of Rahu if it is bad in the chart? So if Saturn, Moon and Lagna Lord and Jupiter are badly placed in the chart, then Rahu will become extremely negative and malefic. It has potential to bring extreme malefic results. First of all, it can make person extremely blinded by materialism. Means for you, selfish motives, money, wealth, luxuries, power, position, hedonistic life, that is all for you, nothing more. Nothing more. A person becomes a slave of maya, person becomes slave of desires, person becomes slave of hedonism, that kind of thing. That is what Rahu can bring. Then it can enhance what? It can enhance a lot of negative characteristics, like it can increase selfishness, ingratitude, manipulation, lies, cunningness, bigotry, fundamentalism, self obsession, deception, cheating, deceitful nature, and sadism, and extreme greed, that kind of thing. And no moral conscience, internal moral conscience is flawed, that kind of thing can be seen by Rahu. Then I will say not no moral conscience, it can show very weak moral conscience or no moral conscience, depending on the chart. Then person tends to fulfill their goals, desires, ambitions through all kind of means, by hook or by crook. They just want that, they don't care about the right or wrong. So that kind of decision making capability, that this is right, this is wrong, that is not there easily. So abuse of power, abuse of resources, abuse of knowledge, wrong use of knowledge can be seen. Then deep self-denial, self-obsession, and self-deception can be seen. It brings a lot of show-off, identity crisis, fake, shallow, hollow life, where you don't have your own sense of individual identity. You are in constant, deliberate, desperate need of social attention and validation and approval. Then it enhances a lot of lethargy and procrastination, no willpower, no dedication, no concentration, no attention whatsoever. You just think that, okay, maybe through seeking some kind of shortcuts, some kind of things, I'll get this thing as soon as possible. So perseverance, patience not there, willpower, dedication not there. Person tries to get things through shortcuts only most of the time. Then it gives a lot of indulgence in all sorts of perversive, illegal, corrupt, unethical, and criminal, immoral activities and behavior. Now you have to see the chart. Again, I am repeating. Next thing here is that we can see people who are having a lot of all kind of mental health problems can be given by Rahu here. Rahu Ketu in Leo Aquarius. All sorts of mental health issues, personality disorders, addictions, cardiovascular problems, problems related to respiratory, ear, nose, throat system, feet, and abdominal problems can be seen. We can see sociopaths, criminals, and psychopaths with this as well, but again, you have to check the chart. Next thing, person mostly achieves progress or mostly fulfills their material ambitions through corruption and malpractices, not through legal means most of the time. Next thing, like we can see people who are dirty in any kind of arena where they are. It can be politics, it can be bureaucracy, it can be management, it can be corporate, it can be media, it can be any sector whatsoever. Rahu brings some nature of fulfillment of desires through sleazy malpractice, malpractice and corruption, that kind of thing. That is the domain of Rahu. If it is negative, it will bring these things. Next thing, since Ketu is in Leo, Leo is your ego. Remember that ego shattering is inevitable in this case. Sooner or later, everything what you earned, what you associated with, whatever you think that this is me, this is what I am, it is going to break. It is going to give you, because now Ketu is going to bring that kind of it is going to bring that kind of experience in life where the person is questioning their own existence, that kind of thing. So here, but the problem is that if Rahu is extremely negative, what will happen, that person can be so blind that they learn nothing from their own mistakes and experiences, and rather it enhances the greed, fear, and attachment to extreme levels. So there is no recourse here, frankly speaking, if Rahu is extremely powerful and negative in the chart, because now Ketu, even though it's going to bring that ego shattering at some point in the lives, but the person does not improve. They can become more negative, more bitter, but don't improve easily. So that is the negative point of Rahu. Now again, as I said, all the things which I talked, they are extremely harsh, extremely negative, and they can depend from chart to chart. People can face certain issues, some or the other issues, not all the issues which I have said. I have given you a general information, all kind of possibilities, permutations, combinations, what Rahu can bring if it is negative in the chart or positive in the chart. You just have to analyze the chart as a whole. Don't jump to conclusions immediately. Now we will talk about the second category, that is, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then what will be the results. And first case here is if Sun, Moon and Lagna Lord are well placed in the chart and Ketu receives support from them, then this Ketu will be considered good and auspicious, and now it will bring or has potential to bring a lot of positive results in life. So what kind of things we can see? That Ketu, if it is good, then it gives ambitions to the person. Person can seek power, authority, status, name, reputation, fame in life, and also it brings that material progress, that whatever you thought, whatever ambitions you had, it brings fulfillment of those ambitions by dedication, will and competitive spirit to achieve them, the perseverance, the patience to achieve them. Because of Ketu is strong and well placed, then what will happen? That Ketu means flag. Flag means you are at the top of something. So the thing here is that it helps the person to fulfill their ambitions and goals and aims in life as well. So that's a good thing in this case where Ketu is supportive. Next point here, it can bring some kind of nature which is somewhat controlling, dominating, or assertive and bold. But one suggestion here is that the person should refrain from some exhibition of pomp and grandeur, because the more you are going to exhibit your egoistic personality in front of others, the more, as I said, the Ketu and Rahu in Leo and Aquarius, or Aquarius and Leo, vice versa, they have one tendency to bring that at some point in your life, sooner or later, they are going to land you into a situation where they are going to shatter your ego. No matter what, they are going to shatter your ego. It is inevitable. Nobody can escape it, particularly if Ketu and Rahu are in this 5-11 axis. So the more person is going to be exhibiting that kind of persona, that I am something, don't be pompous, don't be too much egoistic, don't be arrogant. The more you are going to be that, the more difficult Ketu is going to make your life when it is going to test you by shattering your ego. Sooner or later it will happen. So this is just one suggestion. Otherwise, Ketu, if it is strong, it is good for fulfillment of all kind of ambitions and giving progress and success in life. Next thing here is that one thing which Ketu hinders is that it does not give satisfaction easily, because who is in front of Ketu? Rahu. So Rahu is continuous ambitions. So the thing here is that it does not give inner sense of satisfaction easily. So rather it enhances inner sense of emptiness, some internal void. Even though you are accomplished, you are successful, you got what you thought, but still you think that I am unhappy, I am still not full, there is something still which is not complete, that kind of thing. So Ketu brings that kind of experience to the person. Then the thing here is that because Ketu, until and unless if strong spiritual yogas are not there, then only the person can have some what you can say balance of this existential crisis, because Ketu brings that existential crisis. That is why person feels that kind of inner emptiness, void or dissatisfaction. But if that spiritual inclination is not there, then what will happen? This emptiness leads to continuous chasing of material ambitions, and yet you will achieve those ambitions, but you won't be happy easily. That kind of peace, when I say happiness here refers to the internal calmness and peace. That peace does not set internally easily. Then the thing here is that it is good for giving willpower, competitive spirit, relentlessness, stubbornness, control, leadership skills, assertive behavior, self-confidence, and although there could be some kind of self-doubt sometimes, but it brings that self-confidence over a period of time. So these are good traits which help the person to fulfill their aims and goals. Then the thing here is that also if Jupiter and ninth house are good, or they are making some spiritual combinations in the chart, then only it brings, Ketu tends to bring personality transformation in a good sense. Good sense means it makes you more mature, more humble, more accepting that you know your limits, you know that you are successful, but you are also connected to the ground. You don't think that you are God. That kind of superiority complex is not there, that kind of egomania is not there. So it transforms that person into more mature, more uh, what you can say, more wise nature over a period of time, huh? But if Ketu, or sorry, if other planets like Jupiter or ninth house, they are not strong, then what will happen, that they bring continuous tremendous fear, insecurity, confusion, fragile ego, severe mental problems and dissatisfaction. But that is the negative side. The thing here is that another is that with Rahu, if it is bad in this case, remember, so person, as I said, can have either very weak or no conscience. So here self deception, self denial becomes the part and parcel of life. And Ketu, what happens is that it never lets you live in peace. It can bring fulfillment of desires, progress, but no peace and satisfaction. So that is a element if Rahu is negative. However, Ketu has good results as well. As I said, Ketu can bring a lot of good characteristics in the behavior. The only thing which people with this alignment should be aware of is don't be don't be extremely egoistic or arrogant. That is the only thing. Apart from that, now we will talk about the last case, that is if Sun, Moon and Lagna Lord are weak and Ketu receives no support from them, then Ketu will become extremely negative. Now it can bring a lot of negative traits. Now all the things I'm going to say, just take it as a source of information, don't jump to conclusions. Now thing here is that if Ketu is negative, it can bring either inferiority complex or superiority complex. Person can think they are God, or person can think that they are nothing at all. So that kind of thing. Next thing here is that it can enhance egomania. It can increase at what you can say, a person arrogance, huh? Egomania and arrogance to a heightened state. Then, or it can bring a total loss of self-esteem and self-confidence. Ketu also brings a lot of sheer identity crisis, fragile ego, confusion, lethargy, procrastination, troubles in attention and troubles in concentration. It can create problems in career, fulfillment of ambitions, because person does not stick to one thing. Because Ketu increases impatience, immaturity, stupidity, irrationality, stubbornness, jealousy, those kind of things. So what happens that you tend to take some decision in haste, and later on you regret it, and then you leave that thing. So person never completes any task. So you started something, left it in between, switched on to another thing, left that also in between, switched to another thing. So what happens that your life becomes a continuous cycle of leftover tasks, nothing more than that. So that kind of thing can be brought up by negative Ketu. Next thing here is that it can increase, it depends on the chart, not always, but yes, Ketu is a destructive planet. So it enhances anger, aggression, sadism, cruelty, jealousy, or violent behavior sometimes. It depends on the chart. Another thing is that there will be lots of desires, but the will and dedication or the effort which is required, that won't be there. Then it gives a lot of extreme unhappiness, sorrow, internal sadness, a hollow, fake and shallow life, filled with a lot of self-denial and self-deception. And the person is never at peace internally. Then Ketu can also bring, what you can say, not only Ketu, whenever Ketu and Rahu are in Leo and Aquarius, both of them have capability to bring overwhelming sense or feeling of existential crisis, powerlessness, insignificance, helplessness at some point or some point in life. no matter how powerful, how successful you are, they will test this by bringing you to a certain stage of these things, like where you feel vulnerable, where you feel insignificant, where you are extremely powerless in front of entire nature. It tests you, it brings you down to your knees at some point in life. Why? Because they are trying to bring some kind of personality transformation, shattering of ego, as I said, because Ketu and Rahu both are uh, not the friends of sun, so they tend to create problems there. So here what happens, that it tears down the person's false ego identifications and belief systems suddenly, and pushes the person into an initial state of chaos and unknown, where uh, where they lose their worldview, their perception, their whole personality. It brings they tend to impose a big question upon your whole life, your whole identity, your whole belief system. And now the main point here is that why? Because they want to bring some kind of personality transformation, but that transformation depends upon the person, how they will react to this situation. If Ketu and Rahu are good, then the personality transformation will be in positive direction. It makes person more wise, more mature, and more uh, uh, stable. But if the person, if Rahu and Ketu axis is negative, what will happen? It will bring negative personality transformation. It can make person more harsh, bitter, arrogant, sadistic, or more what you can say, person who is lost in self denial and deception, and moving towards more anguish, hatred, bitterness in them, that kind of thing. Then it enhances continuous anguish and moves the person towards nihilism. But that depends upon the nature of Rahu and Ketu. If they are good, then only they can bring positive transformation. If not, then they will destruct the personality itself, because Ketu is in Leo, and Leo is your own ego, so it destroys that. But the point here is that it will destroy. How it is going to manifest later, by transforming it, that is the most important thing, for the better or for the bad, that you have to check in the chart. Next thing here is that, remember that the person, if it is bringing negative transformation in life, then the thing here is that there will be no recourse from that, because it is seen in amongst people. But the thing here is that, here Rahu Ketu, apart from Rahu Ketu, main role which is played here is by the Lagna Lord and the Moon. Lagna Lord and the Moon, they control your brain and thinking and mindset and emotions and personality. If they are supporting to the person, they will always help for the positive transformation from the situation of existential crisis which Rahu and Ketu tend to bring in life. So see the placement of Lagna Lord and Moon. If they are well placed, they will always help the person to become better. But if they are also not supporting, then as I said, it will be a gone case without any recourse. So there are these were the results of Rahu and Ketu in detail today. I have explained all kinds of scenarios with all kinds of categories and cases possible. You just have to see other planets and other positions of yogas in the chart. Then you have to come to some kind of conclusive result. Otherwise, just what I have said, learn it and take it as information, and then after application only come to a result. So that's all from my side regarding Rahu and Ketu in Aquarius and Leo. If you are new to my channel, subscribe below. For more, check on my website and Facebook page and Instagram. Their links are provided in the description. Otherwise, we will meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.